Aloha and welcome to the virtual Live at the Legislature. I'm Carolyn Tanaka, and joining me this morning are two representatives from the west side of Hawaii Island. Representative Nicole Lowen, she represents Kailua Kona, and Representative David Tarnas, he represents North Kona and North and South Kohala. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us this morning. It's been about a month since the legislature recessed because of the shelter-in-place order, but I know that the work continues and that the two of you have been very busy in your communities. Tell me, first of all, Representative Lowen, how are the people in your area holding up?
Obviously, this is a really stressful time for a lot of people. As everyone's aware, Hawaii has one of the highest unemployment rates in the nation, if not the highest. And Kailua Kona and West Hawaii is particularly an area dependent on tourism. So a lot of people have been laid off and lost their jobs. So I think they're trying to be patient, but it's challenging.
How about you, Representative Tarnas? Same thing?
We're certainly in the same situation. A lot of folks in the visitor industry that have been laid off. And so people are very worried about how to get unemployment insurance benefits. And that's been a real challenging process because so many people have been applying. 1 out of every 3 people working in the state are unemployed. And so the numbers that are applying for unemployment benefits is overwhelming the department. And so the delays in getting benefits is a huge issue. We've got a lot of farmers in the area here in Waimea and then Kohala, and they were growing for the hotels and the restaurants, and those are closed. So we're doing everything we can to try to connect individual consumers to the farmers so that they can buy direct, and also so we can have the purchase from farmers to give to the food basket and others, because there's a lot of food insecurity here, and we're trying to help out folks who really need it most.
So, Representative Lowen, I did say earlier that the two of you, I know, have been very active in your communities. I'm getting information now. What are some of the things that you've been doing?
A lot of it's just getting information out through email blasts and through social media, responding to people's concerns via email, trying to help them navigate the assistance programs that are available through the state and through the new Federal CARES Act. So it's really been a fire hose of information. We're trying to go through everything and distill out what's helpful and push it out to our constituents in a way that's easier for them to understand. So that is, a big piece of it. And then, behind the scene, we're also still working on, with the rest of our colleagues on the response at the state level and talking about, different issues like agriculture and economic recovery, et cetera.
Well, I do know that since you've been home, the Kona area in particular has been hit. I think that Maui had a cluster at Maui Memorial, and now the Representative Lowen, this is your area, I think, been hit with a COVID cluster. How's that going?
I think that is now up to 30 people that they've identified as positive between the employees of the different McDonald's locations and their families. We know the Department of Health says they're working on the contact tracing, and getting testing done of anyone who might have been exposed. So now is really the time for everyone to be extra careful, also to prevent further spread in our community as we wait further test results, to stay home if you can, if you must go out, to wear a mask, to remember to wash your hands thoroughly and frequently. There's also, if anyone is feeling ill, there's free testing in Kona on Mondays and Thursdays from 8 to noon at Keoho Shopping Center. And then I guess the other comment I would have is I think this situation really exposes the increased vulnerability of certain groups in our community. If you're a food service worker and you're considered essential, you have to go to work and you may not get paid sick leave. and you may not be able to afford to take the days off. And so I think that and then on top of it, we have our affordable housing issues where we have multiple families, multiple generations, sometimes living in very small dwellings, and those are ideal conditions for the spread of the virus. So that's something to keep in mind as we move forward when we have situations like this, that the other weaknesses in our safety net and in our system and economy here in Hawaii do make certain groups more vulnerable to this than others. And I think that we can see it a little bit with this cluster in Kona right now.
Representative Tarnas, we are beginning to see kind of a flattening. People are starting to talk more about maybe reopening. The governor has said that we are not quite ready yet. How do you envision reopening?
I think we really need to follow a very methodical path, and I would encourage folks to watch the House Special Committee on COVID-19 economic and financial preparedness meetings every Monday at 10. We get updates on what the process will be, and we really have to follow carefully what these plans would be. We have to develop a capacity for screening, for testing, and when identifying who is positive, for contact tracing, and to isolate those who are positive. And we've got to have a strong system in place before, as we start to open up. We about a month away is what the estimates are that Alan Oshima and Mark Mugiishi, who are both on that COVID committee for the House, have told us. And we need to really follow their path. The General Hara, who is leading our effort here, has a real good methodical approach to this. And I think, we've got to build our capacity. Right now, people want to get their businesses open. So as we do that, we're going to have to make sure that the employees are practicing social distancing, they have their masks, and all the customers have to do that. Everybody wants to start opening, but we have to do it carefully so we don't see another spike in positive cases, because then we'll go back into our isolation again. So transparency of government decision-making is so important. Information on current status is so important. But as Representative Lowen said, we've got to take care of our own health and of the health of those who are most vulnerable. And while we can't talk to each other in person, we can call each other. And I'd say that if nothing else, this has brought us together to use technology, teleconferencing, video conferencing. I mean, our Hawaii Island delegation is meeting regularly by video conference and are really pulling together and building a strong solidarity in our approach. So that's strengthened. Everybody's asking for improved internet access now. So I think we're all learning that we need that.
Well, you know what? I don't like to talk all gloom and doom. I mean, there are some, as you just said, there are some positive things that have come out of it. We will have to do things differently, but that may not be so bad. So before we go out on a gloom and doom scenario, do any of you have any stories you can tell us of acts of kindness, good works that you have seen, either yourself or anything like that? What about you, Representative Lowen?
Oh, I mean, it's been incredible to see how the community has come together to, make sure everybody has enough to eat, to make face masks, the homemade face masks to distribute to people for free, to check on their neighbors and help kapuna, etc. So I think that, Hawaii Island really has a strong sense of community, and that's one of our strengths, and it makes us more resilient. And we've seen that very clearly here. So yeah, that is a good thing.
Okay, what about you, Representative Tarnas?
There are bright spots, and it is really, as Representative Lowen said, it's people who are helping others, whether it's community meals being offered by local churches or organizations. And I put out my e-newsletter regularly, and I try to include some positive stories in there, because we're going to need, pull together so we can come out of this and build an economy again to be stronger and more resilient, diversified, because we'll have this virus with us for a long time. And so we'll need to manage carefully, but build a stronger community as we come out of it.
Well, thank you, both of you, for joining us this morning. It's a daunting task ahead, but as you say, Big Island people know how to work hard. They've been through this before, and we look to you to help us lead the way. Thank you, both of you, for joining us this morning, and to all of you, aloha. See you next Tuesday.
Thank you.
Thank you. Aloha.
Aloha.
What are you doing? We have to go. I'm gonna be late for work.
It's Tuesday morning. I gotta record live at the Legislature on Alelo. Senate and House leadership discussing what's happening at the state capitol.
So just watch it on the news tonight. Come on, let's go.
Hey, this is like getting the news before it's news. If only I could get this remote to work.
There. Can we go now?
No DVR? No problem. Watch Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. on Channel 49.